SWOT analysis. Strength. South Africa has a highly developed infrastructure of people and capital. Migrations and abundant mineral resources have contributed immensely to its economic development. Historically, being the economic center of sub-Saharan Africa, even during the times of apartheid, with amenities and quality of life on par with its Western counterparts, if not better. Mainstays such as the gold of Witwatersrand were marketed as Kruger Rands during the late 60s and made up over 90% of the gold coin market by 1980. There were significant companies such as Sasol who turned coal into oil to stave off effects of their global oil embargo, or Anglo-American, the parent company of De Beers Diamond Group, once considered the most powerful monopoly in the world. Both are listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, the largest stock exchange in Africa. South Africa even excelled in the sciences, performing the first human-to-human heart transplant and the only African country to this day to have had a nuclear weapons program. It currently has a literacy rate of over 90%, where the sub-Saharan African rate is 65%. It has a quarter of Africa's road network and a fifth of its rail. It possesses the third highest GDP on the continent, only trailing Egypt and Nigeria, both of whom have significantly larger populations. Weakness. Although South Africa is termed the Rainbow Nation, this does not come without its shortcomings. Hosting the largest European population on the continent, South Africa not only seeks to minimize tribal conflict like many other African nations, but also racial strife amongst its various ethnic groups. It possesses the largest Gini coefficient in the world, a metric used to measure income inequality. It also has one of the world's largest unemployment rates of over 30%, coupled with one of the highest homicide rates in the world outside of the Caribbean. There have been attacks on immigrant groups and stores, such as recent occurrences in Johannesburg, that has led some to call South Africa xenophobic, with Nigeria going so far as to make plans to evacuate and repatriate as many as 640 of its citizens back to Nigeria in 2019. This, along with calls for nationalization and redistribution of private lands acquired by European expansion into the country, has caused hesitation for potential migrants and investors. Opportunity. South Africa's geography endows it with two advantages that no other country has in sub-Saharan Africa. The southwest region boasts a Mediterranean climate, which is home to crops such as wine and citrus fruits. The easterly regions possess temperate climate zones which are known to produce crops such as wheat and maize. These climate zones are not found in combination anywhere else on the continent. This immediately allows South Africa a trading position with its fellow African countries that are predominantly in arid and tropical climate zones. South Africa is also the golden crown of the southern tip of the continent. Its developed infrastructure and location between East and West Africa is pivotal and opens it up as a bridge between both sides of the continent that rely on sea transport and communication. For example, the country can develop into a major oil refining center in the southern hemisphere, where there are more oil-rich South Atlantic nations and the more oil-important nations on the east coast of Africa. Conversely, it can leverage itself as a processing center of food goods from the more agriculturally inclined east coast of Africa to the west. The diverse geography of the nation and its central location in the southern regions of the continent allows it to be a potential refiner, processor, and investment center due to its developed financial sector. Threats. The greatest threat to South Africa is the economic splitting of the continent, with an Atlantic-focused West Africa and Indian Ocean-focused East Africa. This would isolate the country economically. Countries trade with countries from which they require a material need, have geographical convenience, or with whom they share a cultural link. An economic bifurcation of the continent would produce a situation reminiscent to colonial Africa, where European powers extracted resources at the expense of development of the host country. This would also detract on the development of the southern centers of the continent, allowing persistent poverty in nations whose surplus labor will continue to flood into a more developed South Africa.